How do you install this GPU? Oh god, it's heavy. In this PC build. We're gonna cover that in today's episode. Hey, what's up, s'mores? I'm Shannon Morse, and welcome back to the PC build series. Today you will see a small human in some of my close-up shots of this computer that I'm building, but she actually got a little bit distracted by my cat and my dog, so she will not be in the presentation part of this video. She's behind the scenes.
It seems like nobody wants to work these days.
Today's episode is one of my favorites because we are finally installing the component that most people think of when they imagine a high-end gaming or creator PC, and that is your GPU, aka your graphics card. Yay! Now this build is using the ASUS TUF or TUF Gaming RTX 5080 OC. OC stands for overclocking, and this thing is a beast. Today we are installing the GPU, we're finishing up our fan setup, we're connecting the remaining cables and doing a complete system check before we finally boot the machine. I am so excited for the next episode. I can't wait to boot this thing up for the first time, and you're gonna see it on camera. I hope it works. By the end of this video, the hardware side of the build will finally be complete, and that means we are getting very close to the moment of truth. So before we install it, we're gonna talk about what a graphics card actually does. A lot of people think that graphics cards are only important for gaming, and while gaming is definitely one of their biggest jobs, they are also incredibly useful for creators as well. Your GPU helps accelerate video editing and rendering, visual effects, streaming, 3D workloads, and many, many modern creative applications. Think of a GPU as a highly specialized processor that is optimized for graphics and parallel workloads. For a creator build like this one, it is just as important as my CPU as well. So let's take a moment to appreciate just how large modern graphics cards have become, because before I install this thing, I do want to point out that it's heavy. So this thing is the ASUS TUF Gaming RTX 5080 OC GPU. Compared to graphics cards from just a few years ago, this thing is quite massive, and it takes up a lot more space, which is why proper installation and support are going to be very important. This is also the component that tends to eat the biggest chunk of a PC budget, with newer GPUs and high-end GPUs being very, very expensive these days. I remember back in my day when I was in like college and I was building computers, you could get a really nice GPU for like $500-600, and nowadays they're like $1,800, $2,000. It's insane. Yeah. So before installing the card, we need to prepare the case. Now first, you're going to remove the appropriate expansion slot covers. Those are the metal slots that you can see on the back of the case. Most modern graphics cards require multiple slots just because of their size, because they're so big. Once those are removed, we are ready to access the primary PCIe slot. Now for most builds, you want to use the top PCIe X16 slot on the motherboard. That one's typically the slot that is directly connected to the CPU, and it's also going to offer you the best performance. Now, before I go into installing this GPU, I did want to mention, if you are finding this video helpful, which I hope you are if you're watching this PC build series, a subscribe would mean so much to me. Subscribing is a really simple way of showing YouTube which videos you find most helpful and most valuable, and it also tells me which direction I should be taking my channel in, since I do a variety of content. Also, I wanted to say a big Patreon shout out to my Patreon supporters. You can join them and support my channel by going over to patreon.com/Shannon Morse for perks like early video access and my private Discord. Now, as usual, all the videos on my channel are free to watch, and I thank my YouTube members and my patrons for making that possible. It's because of you that I am able to dedicate so much time to doing series like this one. So first up, I am going to line up this graphics card with the PCIe slot and the rear mounting bracket. Don't forget to remove the plastic shielding from your PCIe port, like I just did. Once everything here is aligned, I simply need to press down until I hear this little retention clip click into place. That's going to tell us that the card is fully seated into the motherboard. So if the card does not feel right, if for some reason it's jiggling back and forth, don't force it in, just remove it, check that alignment again, and try again. So once it's seated, I will secure the card to the case using the mounting screws, and this is where my small small helper is going to come in. And just like that, the GPU is officially installed. It doesn't take too much work to install one. It's just a big piece and you need to be a little bit careful with it. Now, one thing you will often hear people talk about with modern graphics cards is GPU Sag. Because these cards are so large and so heavy, gravity can sometimes cause them to tilt a little slightly over time. Some cases in graphics cards include support brackets to help prevent this. If your build includes one, it's definitely worth using. Not only does it help support the card, but it can also improve the overall look of the build itself. You can also get some really cool looking support graphics third party, so definitely look into that. And if you have a friend or if you have a 3D printer, there's also some really cool print projects that you can do for brackets as well. All right, now we're gonna connect the power. This is one of the most important connections in the entire system. Without power, this very expensive graphics card becomes a very expensive little decoration inside your PC. So the power connector must be fully seated inside your GPU. Take a moment to visually verify that the connector is completely inserted. You may hear a little click when you slide it in. Especially with modern high performance GPUs, proper cable seating is going to be incredibly important. Once it's connected, I will just make sure the cable isn't being bent too aggressively near the connector, and we're going to slide it into the back plate to put it back into the PSU in the back, the power supply unit. Now, my power supply unit actually has a little section that says GPU right above the port that it matches with. So I easily find that and just plug it in. Okay, now we're gonna finish our airflow setup. Now, this build uses multiple ASUS ARGB fans to help move air through the case. Remember what we talked about earlier in the series about the front and bottom fans typically bringing air in, and then the top and rear fans usually pushing warm air back out? The goal is gonna be controlling that airflow. So as I install each of these fans, I'm gonna be double checking orientation to make sure they are moving air in the intended direction, and usually there's gonna be some arrows on your fans. This is one of those things that's much easier to fix now than after the system is fully assembled, because nobody wants to re-screw things in back and forth all over the place, especially after you've installed all your other components. Might be kind of hard to access those screws, so just make sure you're doing it right the first time. It'll save you a lot of annoyance later on down the road. Ask me how I know, as it would not be the first time that I have installed fans backwards. Now, since this build includes multiple ARGB fans, we are also connecting fan and lighting cables too. One thing that confuses a lot of beginners is that fans often have two separate cables. One controls the fan speed and the other one controls the lighting. So make sure both are connected wherever they need to go. We will dive deeper into fan curves and RGB software later on in the series, but right now we're just making sure that everything can communicate directly. Now, one of the really cool things about my fan setup is because I bought these as 3-piece sets for the fans along the bottom as well as the fans along the back right next to the motherboard, is they actually come with daisy chaining cables, which is going to save me a lot of ports on my motherboard. It's really cool, and it may save you a lot of cable management in the future if you look at this before you start your build when you're purchasing all your components, to kind of pick and choose how many fans am I going to need, and are there sets of 3 that you can actually purchase if that is the desired measurement that you choose to go with. All right, now that all the major components are installed, we can finally do our final cable cleanup. Now, I'm routing cables behind the motherboard tray. I'm gonna use a few little tie points here built into the case. I use a ton of Velcro instead of using the little zip ties. I find Velcro is way easier, especially if you wanna upgrade in the future so you don't have to cut up the zip ties. You can get a bulk thing of Velcro off Amazon and other websites, so I always have extra Velcro in hand, and a lot of times when you purchase components, they will come with a little pack of Velcro as well, so you can use these too. Now, right now, since I haven't booted it up yet, I'm not gonna tie down everything. I'm not gonna make it look entirely pretty just yet, but I'm just going to organize the cables so they're not in my way in case I need to take something out or fix a port once I do boot it up. Once I know that it is booting up, I will finally organize all those cables and put on all the casing. So right now, just make sure you can slide everything in the back. Make sure there's a little bit of slack with your cables so none of them feel like they're pulling or too hard on the ports. Make sure nothing is interfering with the fans. Make sure cables aren't touching any of the blades with the fans. This doesn't have to be perfect right now. The goal is just clean and functional. Just make sure everything is functioning and plugged in correctly. correctly. As long as the cables are secure, airflow paths remain clear, then you're doing great and you can move on to the next step. So before we attempt our first boot, yay! Oh my god, I just got chills. It's so exciting. I love building computers, and every time I'm like, oh, I'm almost at the first boot, it gives me chills, like those little tingles. I'm like, I'm so excited. So let's go through a quick checklist. So we have our CPU installed, that's plugged in. We have our cooler installed, that is plugged in. We have the RAM installed, everything looks good there. Storage is installed underneath where the GPU goes. The motherboard power is connected, the CPU power is connected, graphics card is installed, the graphics card power is connected. Then we have the front panel connectors, so I can actually press that power on and off and use the USB ports. The fan cables are connected, and we also have the RGB fan cables. Now, one thing I ran into with my motherboard is I ran out of the ports for ARGB because all of my fans light up. I actually have 3, 6, 7 fans total, and I had like 5 ports or something like that, and that also includes the RGB ports for things like the cooler too. So one thing I questioned was I have that one singular fan, which is in the rear of the case. It's right next to the monitor. It's just by itself. It's this lonely fan. It has its own ARGB and power. I wonder if I can daisy chain that onto the set of 3 fans, and will it still get enough power to power the RGB colors and everything. So I did try daisy chaining it, and we will see it if everything lights up correctly. So at this point, I think everything for the hardware part of this build is complete. So take a second, appreciate it. If you're building along with me, you have already done something that a lot of people are very intimidated to try, and that's really awesome, and you should be extremely proud of yourself. So good job, because it is very intimidating the first time you build a computer, no matter what age you are, and if it is something that you are trying to teach yourself, that's amazing. You should be very, very excited and very proud. And if you do run into complications, that's okay. You always have a way to fix it, and I know you're gonna do a great job, so I'm very excited for you. So we are now one step away from powering on the system for the very first time. No matter how many systems you built, you might still have a little bit of anxiety about booting it up for the first time, like, did I forget something? The good news is that if something doesn't work immediately, that's totally normal. I've had a computer not boot up on the first try, and I just had to fix a couple of cables and it was fine. Troubleshooting is a part of the process. Ain't nobody is gonna get a gold star for a perfect boot history. None of us will. And if you're in the comments saying every single one of your computers booted up for the first time, I don't know if you're lying or not, but I'm very happy for you. In the next video, it's finally time. We're powering on the PC for the very first time, entering the BIOS, checking temperatures. We're gonna verify hardware detection, make sure that everything is working correctly. It is the moment we have been building towards since episode 1, so thank you so much for following along. If you ever had a PC not boot on the first try, I wanna know what was the problem. Comment it down below. I have had, how many was it? I think it was 2 builds total not boot on the first try. One of them, I know the RAM was not seated correctly. That was my husband's computer. And the other one, we were missing a cable for the motherboard, and that was it. So we were able to fix both of those issues. Hit subscribe so you don't miss the next episode, because next time on Dragon Ball Z, we're going to go over 9,000. We're gonna push the power button. I'm very excited. And hopefully the wattage doesn't go over 9,000. That would be ridiculous. Okay, bye y'all.